So what's up, guys? I've decided that I want to do this series where I walk and talk because I tend to think a lot better when I'm walking. Some people just like to sit in their little office by their desk and everything like that, but that's just way too formal. Talking about something that is not formal at all. This is something we all love: comic books, right? Sci-fi, entertainment, escapism. We don't need to sit in a formal office to feel like whatever is coming out of my mouth is valid or not. It's just opinions at the end of the day, but it's things that we get to talk about. And I'm really happy that you guys have been engaging with me. I've enjoyed every moment where I've gotten to have some conversations with you about the new movies that are out and about some shows that are coming up and things like that. So today, I'm actually going to be talking about the Lanterns show. Episode 1 came out recently. I was a little reluctant to watch it. I'll be completely honest. I've been let down by DC's shows for literal years. The one show that I was looking forward to from DC was Titans. And I was looking forward to it despite all the controversy that was, surrounding the show at the time, being, Starfire not actually being orange, her being black but still being an alien, and other things that came, right? But when I finally watched the show, I realized that was literally the tip of the iceberg of problems. But I can get into that a little bit later. What I want to talk about right now is Lanterns and how I actually feel like at least this pilot was done beautifully. It was done so well, in my opinion, because what the writers and creators did that they have not done in the past was make the world around the characters make sense. You see, in this new DC universe that we're in, we're at the movies and whatnot and the shows, they're all connected. However, a lot of things are new. Superman has not been Superman for a decade. He's been Superman for, 2 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Very short period of time. A lot of characters are still in their origin story or haven't even made appearances at all yet. And there are other characters that are still figuring themselves out. So the world does not know superheroes the way that it does at the end of Superman's arc, right? Where the entire Justice League is there and superheroes are so common, it's like you could just drop a coin and you can land on a superhero. This is totally different. So when it comes to the Green Lantern Corps, what this show helps establish is that from probably the 90s, I would say it's the 90s, if not the late 80s, is where we see that little boy, right? That's where we see that little boy. And that little boy with his brothers is John Stewart. Now, he's watching television, specifically watching an interview between Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, and an interviewer on the news. She's asking him different questions. He's putting on this persona, this heroic persona, man without fear, things like that, right? And, as a little kid, you watch that and you absolutely believe it and you internalize it. But what we realize is that John Stewart not only looks up to the Green Lantern, likely as the first hero that Earth has had of this kind, because this is not a hero that's simply fighting crime. This is not a vigilante, right? This is an actual galactic cop. It's a space cop. And what John Stewart is seeing is that this person is not just protecting the streets. This person is protecting the entire planet from something that, up until that point, and even well after, people don't necessarily consider real. Aliens. And being that he's the pioneer of this type of heroism in this universe, there are going to be a lot of things he experiences that are unique only to him, okay? He's going to be alone for most of his time as a hero when it pertains to protecting Earth. Not protecting the streets and protecting cities or even protecting states, but you're protecting the entire planet. Jon Stewart's looking up to him because of this. But we come to find out that Jon Stewart is actually not just looking up to him. He's being trained by his father to master fear. Master fear. Not willpower, right? But to master fear. And people that have not really read the comics, they're not going to understand that right away. They're going to be like, oh, isn't Green Lantern supposed to be like the master of willpower and all this stuff? Yes, but deeper than that, the Green Lantern Corps is supposed to be the antithesis for the Yellow Lantern Corps, which is the Lantern Corps that is run on fear. So, when you are a Green Lantern, not only do you have to have extremely strong willpower, that's to make the ring work, but to be an effective Green Lantern, you have to have mastered fear. You have to be able to look evil and danger in the eye and sense nothing but the responsibility to destroy it, to use your light to eradicate it. That is what a Green Lantern is at its core. So, Jon Stewart somehow, his father somehow already was aware of this. Maybe because of interviews, maybe Hal Jordan explaining. We don't really know how deep he went into all of this with the public at that time, but we do know that Jon Stewart and his father are aware of it, and his father is preparing him to have no fear by what we've seen when he's shooting the apple off of his head. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys, when I saw that scene, it tripped me out. It absolutely tripped me out, because the kind of sicko for a father you'd have to do some crap like that. But what tripped me out even more is that Jon Stewart at that young age literally had no fear. He had no doubt in his mind that his father was going to pull that trigger and not hit him in the head, but hit that apple. And if there was a chance that it was going to hit him in the head, he was not even going to flinch. There was nothing there. He didn't have fear, he didn't have doubt. That is, in essence, what you have to be a powerful Green Lantern. So we see from the very beginning of the episode that from a very young age, Jon Stewart has what it takes at his core. Sorry for the traffic, guys. You know, I'm walking. You're gonna hear cars and whatnot. Hope it's not too loud. But Jon Stewart at his core has what it takes to be a Green Lantern from very young. And I believe that is exactly why the Lantern Corps chose him. And they likely had chosen him for quite some time and expected Hal Jordan to pass on the ring. But Hal Jordan explained to him in this episode, which really established a lot of rules for the entire show. Like, we're going to have to expect these rules to be consistent in the show, and I'm going to watch closely that they are. But the rule is, yeah, no, you don't just get this ring passed down to you like a mantle, like when Batman decides to retire or, you know, something like that. No, that's not how this works. You get this ring after I die, and the ring chooses you. The ring chooses you. So whether you've been told by some court of, you know, creators or whatever it is that this ring belongs to you, that's a load of crap. Because until you can pull this thing, pry this thing off of my cold dead hands, it is not yours. And Hal Jordan makes that very clear. And it's upsetting to Jon Stewart because he's literally been sent there and been trained his entire life for this ring. And he's being told, no, you can't have it. You can't have it until I am no longer capable of holding it. That's a really powerful statement, and that's a powerful rule, which, spoilers, guys, if you didn't already realize, I'm going to put spoiler in the title, but in case you didn't read it, yeah, spoilers, Hal Jordan is going to die at the end of this episode, and when he dies at the end of this episode, we realize that rule that he gave was absolutely true. Okay, Jon Stewart found his dead body, but he was not able to simply take the ring from him then. The ring wasn't there, which means that when Hal Jordan died, the ring absolutely left his finger. It left his finger. Now, some speculate that it was taken. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that the ring left his finger, and the ring left his finger in search for who it felt in the moment that it left was going to be the best fit for the ring. Now, I don't know the exact timeline here. I don't know the exact timeline. I'll have to look into it. How long has the other Green Lantern had the ring, right? How long has he had it? And I don't know why, but sometimes stuff just slips my mind. Got that ADHD brain, but how long has the other Green Lantern had the ring? Because it's 2026 when Hal Jordan is discovered dead, and he had not been dead for long, although long enough to freeze in his position in that seat. He was not dead for very long. So that ring left his finger and went somewhere else. And wherever that ring went, it's not going to travel across a galaxy, right? It's going to go to someone else on Earth that it feels is worthy. Well, how come it didn't go straight to Jon Stewart? I'm sure he's asking himself the same question, which is why he checked to see if the ring was even on Hal Jordan's finger in the first place. He was checking to see if the rule that Hal Jordan gave was really a rule, or if it was just him being disgruntled, just him being avoidant and trying to get out of giving Jon the ring. Jon realizes that's not the case. The rule was true. But if the rule is true, how come he doesn't have it? How come it didn't come to him, the person who was told the ring belongs to and who was trained to have the ring from very young? How come he doesn't have it? Well, we're going to have to discover in this season exactly why that is. Of course, first and foremost, we're going to have to see how Jon finds the ring. Now, I think this thing could go a couple ways. This can definitely be a show where, for the majority of the show, Jon is searching for this ring, and it isn't until toward the end of the season where he actually gets the ring. That's a way they could go. That's a route they could take, right? Another route that they could take is that he does find it quickly, but he finds it only to realize that there is something missing in him, and that the only way for the ring to come to him is for him to prove himself. And he's going to have to prove himself early on in order to face whatever threat is coming. And we know that there is a threat coming because when they went to Nebraska, they found aliens there. They found aliens in a place where no one else really believed there were aliens, except for, of course, the Makins. The Makins absolutely believed that there were aliens and wanted to work with Hal at that time. We don't really see Hal give a definitive answer back in 2016 when the Makins met him, but we assume that he was working with the Makins, and if he was working with them, he was definitely a target, and that would explain the bullet in the head. But what doesn't make sense, this is the part that's got me tripped up. Green Lantern catching a bullet to the head is pretty insane, right? Green Lantern is extremely powerful, and we've seen in the episode how Jordan is able to observe and pick up on the smallest of details very quickly without giving himself away. He's mastered that in his many years of being a superhero, right? So the question is, how on earth did this man get shot in the head? Did he not have his ring when he died? My answer is possibly yes. That's a possible thread or direction that this could go. He might not have had his ring when he died. And if he did not have his ring when he died, then the person that has the ring currently may have been the one that killed him. So many different directions, but again, the thing I love about this show so far is that it created this world where people really don't know much about aliens. They know that aliens exist. Most people have not actually seen or had any sort of first-person experience with an alien, and for the most part, that lack of knowledge creates a deep fear that is justified, at least by the alien that was interrogated by Hal Jordan in 2016. That alien stated that, yes, they're coming to start war. They want to take over. This is not some peaceful entrance, and they're going to win. That's their viewpoint. So, him seeing that, him hearing that, knowing that, and us now knowing that, that changes things quite a bit. That changes things quite a bit. And it makes me ask the question, what exactly is going to happen? What's going to happen next? I want you guys to tell me in the comments what you thought about the first episode of Green Lantern. Did you feel like it was really grounded in something more believable, especially in the world that, James Gunn has created? This world where superheroes are still very new, very fresh, still very misunderstood, very inexperienced at that, right? And not seen everywhere, not seen on a global scale just yet. Really only seen in certain areas of the world. Whereas Green Lantern was a hero that definitely was present and active before any of the heroes that we've seen in this new reboot, being Superman, Supergirl, Mr. Terrific, even the other Green Lantern. Can't remember his name. I never really liked him. That's probably why it's hard for me to remember his name. Never liked him very much. But Hawkgirl and just a list of others. A list of other heroes that are not present, or were not present when Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, was active in the early 90s or late 80s. We get to really think about it. So tell me what you think about that. Tell me where you think the show is going to go. Do you feel like it's actually going to go in any of the directions I said? Or do you just think it's going to go in a completely different direction? Do you like the direction? I personally think it's great. I think that the decision that they've made is going to set them up for creating a DC universe that feels grounded, that feels like Detective Comics again, right? Because that's where it all started. It all started with characters like Batman. Detective Comics, okay? It's like crime novels. That's what this is. That's what it all was about. It's supposed to be gritty. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to pose very difficult questions, and the answers to those questions are supposed to be even more hard to accept and sometimes even to understand than the question itself, because life is complicated. That's the DC that I grew up with. That's what I grew to love. So if they're going to be going back in that direction, I have no problem with that at all. I think that that's the best thing for them. And if they can do this properly, if they can be consistent with this, not only with the Lantern show, but with other shows to come, we may actually see a comic book organization amass the same wealth and popularity that Marvel was able to back in 2008 when Iron Man came out, and then Incredible Hulk came out, and then we just had a chain of films that everybody thought was freaking awesome come out, and then we finally saw the team up that we always wanted, and then things were going really well for a while until we got to like phase 4 and phase 5, right? We could actually see DC do it the right way. Snyder tried, but the thing is, Snyder didn't understand the characters. And if he did understand the characters, he clearly didn't like them, because he took every single character and he turned them on their head and tried to act like that is the version that people truly wanted to see in theaters, which it was not. Man of Steel, great film on its own, not a great Superman film. not a great Superman film. I think that the Superman film that just came out was a wonderful Superman film. However, I would have liked to see more of an origin story instead of seeing Superman do all this stuff for a dog. Just me. James Gunn, get away from this whole animal thing. All right, we know you love your dog. We know you're an animal activist. Nobody likes seeing animals get hurt. I certainly don't. But I don't want my superhero movies to have the motivation for every movie being an animal, being saving some sort of animal. All right, there's deeper issues going on in the world that you created than simply saving a dog. Okay, 2 movies back to back about saving a dog is actually insane. You need to chill out. If you keep going that way, people are going to keep spreading the hate. Thankfully, Lanterns was not about saving a dog. Okay, but he's got a lot of episodes. I hope he doesn't decide to just throw that in there, trick us. But, that's what I think so far. So, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, tell me what you think in the comments. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say and chatting with you. Catch you later.